Armin was a billionaire. He had everything money could buy: big houses, expensive cars, and a successful business empire. But inside, he felt empty and alone. His world was full of gold and silver, but his heart was cold and lonely. Years ago, Armin lost his entire family in a terrible accident. His parents and his younger sister died suddenly in a car crash. Since that day, his life changed forever. There were no children to laugh with, no mother to care for him, and no sister to share secrets. Only silence and sadness remained. Armin tried to fill the emptiness with work. He worked day and night, making more money, buying more things. But no matter what he did, the feeling of loneliness stayed with him like a shadow. His doctor gave him bad news one day. "Armin," the doctor said quietly, "you cannot have children. It is because of your illness. I'm sorry." Armin sat in the big chair, staring out of the window. He thought about the family he lost and the family he would never have. The room felt colder than before. He left the hospital and walked outside. It was raining heavily, the sky was dark, and the city streets were empty. As he walked, his expensive shoes splashed through small puddles, but he didn't care. Then, something caught his eye. Under the dim light of a street lamp near a small alley, a woman was sitting on the wet ground. She was wrapped in torn clothes and holding a child close to her chest. The child looked sick and weak. The woman was shaking, not from cold, but from fear and worry. Armin stopped. He watched silently from a distance. The woman's name was Mira. She was homeless and poor. She had no family and no home. Life had been cruel to her. But in her tired eyes there was a gentle kindness as she whispered soft words to the child. Armin felt something strange in his heart. Why did he care about a woman with nothing? Why did he want to help her? He had never noticed this feeling before. Armin slowly walked closer. "Can I help you?" he asked quietly. Mira looked up, surprised and scared at first. She wasn't used to kindness from strangers, especially not from rich men like Armin. But her eyes softened when she saw the genuine concern in his face. "My child is sick," she said in a low voice. "I don't have money for a doctor." Armin's heart ached. He took out his phone and called an ambulance. He waited with Mira and the child until help arrived. The next day, Armin could not forget Mira's face or the child's weak smile. He thought about how different their lives were, yet in that moment they were connected. He returned to his huge mansion, but it felt emptier than before. The loneliness inside him grew heavier. He wondered if there was a reason why fate had brought him to that dark street corner. Could this poor homeless woman bring meaning to his empty life? Or was it just a moment he would forget with time? Armin's mind was full of questions he had never asked before. And little did he know, that night was only the beginning of a story that would change both their lives forever. After the rainy night, when Armin helped Mira and her sick child, he could not stop thinking about them. Mira's gentle eyes and her child's fragile smile stayed in his mind all day. No matter how busy he was, the image of that street corner haunted him. Armin's life inside the big mansion was quiet but lonely. His servants moved around, but no one spoke to him about what really mattered. His heart, he had all the money and power, but he felt emptier than ever. One evening, Armin sat in his study and looked at old family photos. He missed his parents and sister terribly. He longed to have a family again, to hear the laughter of a child, to feel the warmth of love. His doctor's words echoed in his mind. "You cannot have children." Armin's eyes filled with tears. He thought, "Is there any way I can have a family, or will I always be alone?" Suddenly an idea came to him, a risky, desperate idea. He remembered Mira and her child. Mira was poor, homeless, and struggling to survive. But she had something Armin did not: love and hope even in the darkest times. Could she be the key to his dream? The next day, Armin went back to the street corner where he had first seen Mira. She was there again, sitting with the child, wrapped in old blankets. She looked tired, but she smiled when she saw him. "Mira," Armin said softly, "I want to help you and your child. I can give you a home, food, and care. Mira looked at him with surprise. Why would you want to help? Me? She asked. Armand sighed. Because I'm lonely. I have no family. And I want to create one. I know it sounds strange, but will you come with me? Mira's heart beat fast. She had never imagined that a rich man like Armand would care about her. But then, Armand added, something unexpected. I know I cannot have children myself, he said quietly. But if you help me, if you give me a child, I will take care of you and the child forever. Mira stared at him, shocked and confused. Was he asking her to have a child for him? Was it a business deal or something else? The street was quiet, except for the soft sounds of the city. Please think about it, Armand said, his voice full of hope and fear. He left her there, with more questions than answers. Mira sat alone, the child sleeping on her lap. Her mind was a storm of thoughts. How could she trust a man who lived in a world so far from hers? Could she give him a child when she struggled just to survive? What if it was a trap? What if she lost everything? But deep inside, Mira felt a small spark, a chance for a new life. She looked at the sleeping child and whispered, maybe, just maybe, this could be hope. Meanwhile, Armand returned to his mansion with a strange mix of hope and fear. He did not know if Mira would say yes. But he was willing to wait. In his lonely heart, he believed that sometimes the most unexpected people bring the greatest change. Days passed after Armand's surprising proposal. Mira could not stop thinking about it. The offer was strange and unexpected. A rich billionaire wanted her, a homeless woman with nothing, and to help him have a child. It was hard to believe. Mira's life had always been about survival. She had no time for dreams or promises. Every day was a struggle for food, shelter, and keeping her child safe. But Armand's offer gave her a glimpse of something different, something she had never dared to imagine. Still, she was scared. Could she trust this man? Was his offer true or just another way to use her and then forget? Mira decided she needed answers. She wanted to meet Armand again and talk face to face. One cold morning, she arrived at Armand's mansion. The huge gates opened, and she stepped inside, feeling nervous but determined. The world here was so different from the streets she knew. Armand greeted her with a kind smile, but she saw the worry in his eyes. I'm glad you came, he said softly. I want to be honest with you, Mira. I'm not asking you to be my servant or live a life you don't want. I want us to make an agreement, one that respects both of us. Mira listened carefully. Armand continued. I cannot have children myself, but if you help me, I promise to give you a safe home, care for your child, and respect your freedom. You will not be my prisoner or my employee. Mira's heart felt lighter hearing this. He was serious. He wanted a family, not control. But what if people judge us? Mira asked quietly. Armand nodded. They will, but we must be strong. We will face their words together. After long talks, they wrote down their agreement. It was simple but important. Mira would live in the mansion, have all the care she needed, and Armand would provide for her and the child. In return, she would try to have a child for him. But she kept the right to leave anytime she wanted. They shook hands, a symbol of trust and hope. That day, something changed in both of them. They were no longer just a rich man and a homeless woman. They were two people starting a new journey. Together. But the road ahead was not easy. Neighbors whispered, friends doubted, and strangers stared. Some said Armand was crazy to trust a poor woman. Others thought Mira was using him. But inside the mansion, Mira and Armand found moments of peace. They laughed, shared meals, and slowly began to understand each other's worlds. Mira learned about Armand's loneliness and pain. Armand saw Mira's strength and kindness. Though different, they were becoming a family. Still, dark clouds loomed. Armand's business rivals wanted to break his focus. They spread rumors to destroy his reputation. And Mira's past caught up with her. People from the streets who did not want to see her happy. But Armin stood by her side, protecting her with all his power, and Mira, for the first time, felt she was not alone. Life inside Armin's mansion was changing for Mira. She had a warm bed, good food, and the safety she never had before. For the first time in many years, she felt hope, but the past is never far behind. One afternoon, as Mira walked through the garden, she saw a man standing near the gate. His face was dark and angry. It was Samir, a man from Mira's past, someone she had hoped to forget. Samir was not just any man. He was cruel and dangerous. Years ago, he had threatened Mira and her family. When she had lost everything, he was one of the reasons she ended up homeless. Mira's heart pounded. She wanted to run, but the man saw her. "Mira," Samir called, out in a cold voice. "You think you can just leave your past behind and live like a queen?" Mira swallowed her fear. She did not want Armin to see her scared, so she walked calmly toward him. "What do you want, Samir?" she asked. Samir smiled wickedly. "I want what's mine. You owe me money, and now you're living in a billionaire's house? You think that will protect you?" Mira felt panic, but she stayed strong. She knew she had no money, no power. Samir was dangerous. She thought about telling Armin, but feared it might put him in danger too. That night, Mira told Armin everything. She explained who Samir was, and how he had hurt her before. Armin's face grew serious. "We will not let him hurt you," he said firmly. "I will protect you no matter what." The next days were tense. Samir tried to contact Mira many times, sending threats and warnings. Mira was scared but did not show it. Armin hired security guards to watch over her and the mansion. He also met with his lawyers to prepare for any trouble. But Samir was clever. One evening when Mira was alone in the garden, he appeared again. This time he was angry and dangerous. "You cannot hide forever, Mira," he hissed. "Give me what I want or you and your billionaire friend will regret it." Mira's hands trembled, but she stood tall. Suddenly, Armin's security team arrived, forcing Samir to leave. But the threat remained. Mira realized that her past would not disappear easily. It followed her like a dark cloud, ready to ruin the light she had found. Armin held her hand tightly. "We will face this together," he promised. "You are not alone anymore." Mira nodded, tears in her eyes. She had found a family in Armin, but the road ahead was full of shadows. Could love and hope be stronger than fear and danger? Or would the past destroy everything they had built? After the frightening encounter with Samir, life inside Armin's mansion slowly began to find peace again. But something new was growing. Something neither Armin nor Mira expected. As days passed, Mira and Armin started to know each other better. Their relationship was no longer just about an agreement or a desperate need. It was becoming something deeper. Armin saw how strong Mira was. Despite her hardships, she never gave up. She cared for the sick child, kept hope alive, and faced danger without fear. This courage made Armin respect her more each day. Mira noticed a softer side of Armin. Behind his cold, rich exterior, he was a man who longed for love and family. She saw the loneliness in his eyes, the quiet sadness hidden beneath his smiles. One morning, Mira found Armin in the garden, staring at the empty swing. It reminded him of the childhood he lost, the laughter and joy that once filled his home. Mira walked beside him and said gently, "You are not alone anymore, Armin. We are here together." Armin smiled, feeling warmth spread inside his heart. As weeks passed, they shared simple moments, having tea, talking about their dreams, and laughing at small jokes. The mansion, once cold and empty, began to feel like a home. Mira's child also started to smile more. The child's health improved with good food and care. Armin bought toys and books, trying to bring joy to their little world. But even as happiness grew, the fear of Samir's return never fully disappeared. Mira stayed cautious, always watching her back. One evening, Armin surprised Mira with a small gift, a locket with a picture of the child inside. "This is for you," he said softly, "to remind you that you are part of my family now." Tears filled Mira's eyes. She held the locket close and whispered, "Thank you, Armin." Their bond was growing stronger, built on trust, respect, and a shared hope for the future. Yet outside the mansion walls, challenges waited. Armand's business rivals were still watching, waiting for a chance to attack. And Mira's past was never far behind. But inside the mansion, a new story was beginning. A story of love born from pain, and hope that could heal even the deepest wounds. Life seemed to get better for Mira and Armin. Their little family was growing stronger with each day. But the outside world was not ready to leave them in peace. One morning, Mira received a strange letter. It was from an unknown sender, warning her to leave the mansion or face terrible consequences. The message was clear. Her past was not done with her yet. Mira felt a chill down her spine. She showed the letter to Armin, who immediately called his security team. "We will not let anyone harm you," he promised, gripping her hand tightly. But the threats didn't stop. One night, the mansion's gate was broken and strangers tried to enter. The guards stopped them, but it was a terrifying wake-up call. Mira realized that danger was closer than she thought. Meanwhile, Armin's business was under attack too. Rivals spread lies about his company, trying to ruin his reputation. It was a tough battle, but Armin refused to give up. In the middle of all this chaos, Mira found herself facing a different kind of trial, her own feelings. She started to see Armin not just as a protector or a rich man who made an offer, but as someone she could trust and maybe even love. But fear held her back. Could she open her heart after all she had lost? Armin noticed the change too. He wanted more than anything to be there for Mira, not just as a billionaire needing a child, but as a man wanting a family. One evening, while watching the sunset together, Armin took Mira's hand and said, "You don't have to be afraid anymore. Whatever comes, we face it together. You are my family." Tears welled up in Mira's eyes. She smiled, feeling hope for the first time in years, but the biggest truth was yet to come. One day, Mira's doctor told her something surprising. She was pregnant. The news brought joy and fear at the same time. This child was the hope Armin had longed for, but it also meant new challenges. Could their fragile happiness survive the coming storms, or would the dangers from the past and present tear them apart? Life seemed to get better for Mira and Armin. Their little family was growing, stronger with each day, but the outside world was not ready to leave them in peace. One morning, Mira received a strange letter. It was from an unknown sender, warning her to leave the mansion or face terrible consequences. The message was clear. Her past was not done with her yet. Mira felt a chill down her spine. She showed the letter to Armin, who immediately called his security team. "We will not let anyone harm you," he promised, gripping her hand tightly. But the threats didn't stop. One night, the mansion's gate was broken and strangers tried to enter. The guards stopped them, but it was a terrifying wake-up call. Mira realized that danger was closer than she thought. Meanwhile, Armin's business was under attack too. Rivals spread lies about his company, trying to ruin his reputation. It was a tough battle, but Armin refused to give up. In the middle of all this chaos, Mira found herself facing a different kind of trial, her own feelings. She started to see Armin not just as a protector or a rich man who made an offer, but as someone she could trust and maybe even love. But fear held her back. Could she open her heart after all she had lost? Armin noticed the change too. He wanted more than anything to be there for Mira, not just as a billionaire needing a child, but as a man wanting a family. One evening, while watching the sunset together, Armin took Mira's hand and said, "You don't have to be afraid anymore. Whatever comes, we face it together. You are my family." Tears welled up in Mira's eyes. She smiled, feeling hope for the first time in years. But the biggest truth was yet to come. One day, Mira's doctor told her something surprising. She was pregnant. The news brought joy and fear at the same time. This child was the hope Armin had longed for, but it also meant new challenges. Could their fragile happiness survive the coming storms, or would the dangers from the past and present tear them apart? The news of Mira's pregnancy spread quietly. In the mansion, it was a moment of joy and hope for Armin and Mira, a new life that promised to heal old wounds. But the road ahead was still uncertain. Mira's belly grew with the child she carried, and with it, her courage. She felt stronger every day, ready to face whatever came. Armand stood by her side like a rock, never leaving her alone. His love was clear in every action, in the soft touches, the gentle words, and the quiet strength he gave her. However, the dangers from the past did not disappear. Samir and other enemies continued to threaten, but now they faced a united front. One stormy night, the mansion was attacked again. This time, Mira was scared, but Armand and his team fought bravely to protect their home. After the fight, Armand held Mira close. "We will not let anyone take this away from us," he said fiercely. Mira nodded, tears in her eyes. She realized how much this family meant to her, not just the child she carried, but the man who loved her and the home they had built together. When the baby was born, it was a day of miracle and joy. The child's first cry filled the mansion with hope. Armin looked at the tiny life in Mira's arms and whispered, "Our future begins now." Mira smiled, feeling peace she had never known. Though the past had been painful and the journey hard, they had found love and family against all odds. They were no longer a lonely billionaire and a homeless woman. They were a family, strong, hopeful, and ready to face the world together.